What is up, everyone? Renfail here, and we are back with some new Starfield news, which is really cool, actually. I have not yet dug into this. I got up from my nap, had a glass of tea, was sitting here browsing through the news, and I was like, I've seen like 3 or 4 different places talking about the new timeline that's been posted on Starfield's website. I need to get over there and take a look at that and get a video up about it. And so here we are. I've not actually yet read through this, so we're going to be learning about some of the lore for the first time. If you happen to be new to my channel, this is a big game for me. I'm really heavy into Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but I've been slowly peppering in things around Starfield. I've got Head Start access with my premium edition for the Series X, and I will be doing that Head Start 5-day thing. I do plan on switching over from my daily Baldur's Gate streams for a few days. Anyway, to take advantage of that. So I mean, I'm going to be all over Starfield, but I haven't yet learned about the lore. So this is something that for me, as someone who just started getting interested in Starfield, background Starfield Direct, this is awesome news because I get to learn more about the universe and the timeline and everything else. So without further ado, let's go dig into this. If this is your first time here in one of my videos, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update as we cover Starfield, lots of Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, and so much more. Next year we've got Avowed, Star Wars Outlaws, Oh man, both those games are gonna rock my world. Anyway, I'll shut up. Let's dig into the timeline here. It says here the story so far. 2050, humans first arrive on Mars. By 2100, humans are living in space. 56 years after that, humans arrive in Alpha Centauri, which is 4.37 light years away from Earth. 3 years after that, the first of the United Colonies are established, and then a year later, New Atlantis is founded and becomes the official capital city of the United Colonies in 2061. 7 years after that, in 2167, Cheyenne is settled by Solomon Coe, who founds its first settlement, Aquila City. In 2188, Coe invites Voli to join Cheyenne in a new alliance, the Freestar Collective. They are officially formed in 2189. 2194, the United Colonies position their star station called the Clinic in orbit around Dipala in the Narian system. The unaffiliated peoples of the Narian system, see this as a UC attempt to expand their borders and demand the UC remove the clinic. When the UC refuses, the people of Narian vote to join the Freestar Collective, who mobilize to protect the system in 2195. So we've got a war, 2194. You know what? 40 years 44 years after humans first arrive. Well, it's 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 kind of crazy. No, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong date here. It's Alpha Centauri, 2156. Yeah, it's 40 years. Not quite 40 years. All right. I thought my math was off. 2196. In response to the Freestar mobilization, the UC moves a fleet into the Narian system, and Freestar responds in kind. The Narian War begins. Man, so that is 40 years, right? 2156. That's, yeah, 40 years later, we're already at war with each other. That's crazy. 2216, the Narian War drags on as public sentiment sours. That is a long year. That's 20 years long. Finally, the Treaty of Narian is signed by the UC and Freestar Collective in 2216, ending the conflict. The term settled systems is formalized in the treaty. Then in 2221, the Freestar Rangers are founded as an elite protective investigation force dedicated to serving all citizens of the Freestar Collective. Oh, I'm already intrigued by the Freestar Rangers, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of the coolest things about the Mass Effect series, was being, at least in the first game, you really felt, like you were a secret agent out in space doing cool stuff that only secret agents could do. I like that kind of stuff. 2270. Oh, this is great, guys. We're finally getting a timeline for the Constellation group. This is what I've been wanting to know about mostly, is the Constellation group, because I'm a huge, huge nerd for that kind of lore. Constellation, formed by Sebastian Banks. Original members include Chloe Bao, accomplished physicist, Aja Mamasa, the youngest member and Sebastian's protege, Darius Andrus, botanist and specialist in xenoflora, Bernadette Laurent, wealthy heiress and adventurer, Everardo Gil, former smuggler, and Kadri Toma, biologist and physician. The Lodge is built in New Atlantis to serve the needs and people of Constellation for generations to come. That's 2275. 2305, Barrett joins Constellation. 2307, the Freestar Collective begins farming on the planet of Vesta in the Lunaris system. By 2308, the United Colonies claims that by establishing a colony in the fourth star system, the Freestar Collective has violated the Treaty of Narn. Going to war again? Diplomatic talks break down, and the UAC lays siege to Vesta, killing anyone who stayed behind or was brought in to defend it. The colony war officially begins. Well, already the United Colonies sounds like a horrible, horrible organization that I don't really probably want anything to do with. 2310, Constellation comes into possession of their first artifact and tucks it away in the Constellation archives. That is 45 years? I don't know. 75, 45. That's 45 years after it was founded. 2311, after several years of conflict, the colony war effectively comes to an end with the Battle of Cheyenne, as a flotilla of civilian and military Freestar Collective ships takes down the major ships of the UC Navy using hit-and-run tactics. Then in 2315, the UC Vanguard is founded as part of a response to the Freestar Collective's use of civilian ships during the colony war. The Vanguard is the UC's own civilian navy, relying on civilians using their own ships who pledge to protect the United Colonies and its interests. The ultimate reward for the service is citizenship in the United Colonies. So we're essentially, at that point, we're looking at pirateers, in essence, who are allowed to do whatever they want and earn their way into citizenship. 2319, Sarah Morgan becomes the youngest head of the UC Navigator Corps, though it's a short-lived position as the division is shut down in 2320. And cast adrift, but still eager to put her training to good use, she joins Constellation. Walter Stroud, co-owner of Stroud Eklund, one of the Settled Systems' premier starship manufacturers, joins Constellation, becomes its primary financial backer in 2321. Then in 2322, former Crimson Fleet pirate Vladimir Saul joins Constellation. Sarah Morgan then becomes acting chair in 2325. Theologian Matteo Cotri joins in 2325. 2326, Barrett finds the original artifact in the Constellation archives and knows it must be special. So it was sitting there for how many years? 23, 26, about 15, 16 years. After months of correspondence with Sarah Morgan, graduate student and gifted scientist Noel is invited to join Constellation. Then Freestar Ranger Sam Coe and his daughter Cora join in 2327. 2328, Andreja joins Constellation. 2328, Barrett convinces Constellation to purchase Star Station L868 and modify it to become his deep space scanner, nicknamed the Eye. And then 2330 AD, Starfield begins. Man, I like the scroll here. Like, you can go as fast as you want, and then you get this. Ha ha ha! Oh, I'm already in their Discord. Um, so that's cool. So that's what, 2050. It's 300 years of history, essentially, um, leading up from the founding. So how long has the constellation been around? This is an important one for me because I asked this the other day in a stream because we didn't know, and now we do. 2275. 2275. Okay, so it's been a while. What? It's been 50 plus years. 2275. Um, so it's been a chunk of time, but it hasn't been like hundreds of years. So that's an interesting thing for me because unless my math is off, guys, I'm not sitting here with a calculator as I'm doing this video. So I very well may be a few years off in my calculations. But anyways, so the Constellation Group has not been around for hundreds of years at this point, which is good to know because I had asked that question the other day and was like, how old is Constellation? How long have they been searching for these artifacts? And it looks like that was something pretty recent, going by this, because he says in Barrett finds the original artifact, the Constellation Archives, and knows it must be special. And that's in 2326. So 4 years later is when Starfield begins. So that's a pretty quick timeline um, to go off of. So we're getting right into the action a few years after they've already rediscovered the artifact and started looking at it more. It's also good to know that they've only found the one, according to this. And then that means we're going to be going out there and finding more. So these were all questions I had in previous videos, and so I think a lot has been answered in today's video, which has got me salivating. I'm still sort of casting my mind around putting together a video on the Constellation group, what we know so far, and this definitely is going to factor into that. So I would say if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I am covering Starfield a couple times a week right now, and we're almost at the 2 week mark ahead of launch. And once that happens, you're going to see me start to ramp up towards the launch of Starfield. And of course, once that drops, I'll be playing nonstop and blending that into my streaming schedule alongside Baldur's Gate 3. So there's going to be a lot of Starfield coming up starting in September, well, late August, and then all the way through into September. We'll be balancing this BG3, and then we'll eventually get our way to Phantom Liberty and see where we slot that in as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, stick around, join the Discord. Links are down below. See you next time, everybody. Safe traveling and happy gaming.